Hey everyone, how you doing? It's your boy Shaheener coming at you with another episode of Pokemon Babblers podcast. Of course, joined by my co-host Bano, who's on the other side of the video. Somewhere there.
How is he?
Honestly, anyways, let's introduce our special guest over here. So first time on season 2 for Babblers, but he's been on Babblers with us before. Very good friend, fan of the podcast, I hope.
Of course.
Fellow streamer. He's our friend Greg, Gerg's Games. Thank you for joining us again.
Of course. This is, of the spin-off games, this is the only game I kind of qualify for.
A pleasure as always.
Yeah, because I am not that qualified to talk about it. I know you two are. And so for this one, it's Season 2, Episode 19. So we're getting close to the season finale over here. We got 2 more episodes. And so this one is going to be going over the world-famous Pokemon GO. So, Pokemon GO was released on mobile devices, released on iOS and on Android. So it actually got released first in North America, which is a first. We got it before Japan by weeks. So July 6th, 2016. Then in Europe on July 13th, 2016, and Japan in July 22nd, 2016. Oh, also Australia got it the same day as us too. So
quite literally, world peace was achieved on July 6th, 2016.
Yeah. Except for in the few countries that have banned it. I think Iran and mainland China have banned Pokemon GO for security reasons.
Because they're tracking or something?
Probably. Yeah. So, this game was developed by Niantic. And so they were initially a startup at Google before they went independent in 2015. So it was actually nice that they actually got to continue rather than just be shut down.
Let's say Genus Sonority, but I think Genus Sonority is making mobile games.
Yeah, Genus Sonority is just relegated to making mobile games at this point, even though we know them as the Pokemon Coliseum and XD developers. But their focus at Niantic is mainly on augmented reality games. So they had one game released before that called Ingress, and that was downloaded 20 million times as of 2018 November. So yeah. I guess that they were, I don't know, Pokemon Company saw something in them to develop a game, I guess.
Well, I know that if you overlapped the 2 maps, where it would be on one, that's where a Pokemon would be. So it was the exact same engine and everything. It's just a Pokemon was appeared.
Yeah, they just reskin it with Pokemon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wasn't it a Harry Potter game or something like that too?
I think they released a couple years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, that was after. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, this might have been an elevator meeting kind of pitch, cornered the guy and was like, hey, we got a great mobile game idea. Mm-hmm. We just want to license Pokemon.
Yeah, so, remember how, kids would always say, oh, what if we had a game where it had all the Pokemon worlds in one? It would be so cool. It's, obviously never going to happen. And so I think that this might be the closest that we'll ever get to that. Is that, you can find any of the Pokemon in the overworld. It's not in Kanto. Well, unless you're actually in Japan. You're not in the Kanto region. But, yeah, I think this is the closest we'll probably get to an actual everything in one kind of game.
At least until they give it a headset.
If you're a traveler, because originally when the game came out, there was Pokemon specific to continents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you couldn't get it unless you were in Europe or.
Yeah.
King's Con
was in Australia. I think Mr. Mime was in France.
Yeah. We had Tauros.
It's insane. I mean, it's insane on the reach that this game had and the impact it had, especially in that summer. Because I remember that summer very vividly, and so I want to hear your guys' stories about it first before I go into mine.
I was gonna wait till we got a little bit further in, but I'll actually start from the top. So I actually think this game is the game that got me back into Pokemon, because when I pretty much at the end of high school, I stopped playing Pokemon at all. I didn't play any of the games in college. And then when this game came out, I was like, oh, this is really cool. I don't need to buy a 3DS. I'm broke. I can't afford to buy a new console just to play Pokemon.
Right.
So it kind of went out with this, and I absolutely loved it when it came out. Because we were in a college town, and even after college, there were so many different Pokestops. You could start at the top of the campus, do a full loop, and you'd have 20 spins. Mm-hmm. And I just remember that when it first came out, we would go downtown, and there would be an area where it'd be almost an amphitheater in between the casinos, and there'd be 50 to 100 people sitting there, just getting the Pokestops every 5 minutes, and it was just an awesome time. It was every day I'd go for a walk, and I absolutely loved that initial release over summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was and that was something where it's like in hindsight I could see like how magical it is too, of like everybody, like people that like aren't familiar with Pokemon or like were familiar back in like Gen 1, for example, and then they're like coming up talking to me about like, oh, did you play Pokemon Go yet? And I was like, no, I didn't. I mean, I'll go about my diatribe later on it, but it was just crazy. Like, there's so much togetherness in that summer of like, that's the closest I think we'll ever get to world peace in the future
World
at this
peace.
point is Pokemon Go.
I feel like initially there used to be that. Do you remember the Vote or Die campaign?
Yeah.
But this was like one of those campaigns where I feel like Pokemon Go actually got more people to walk than had ever walked before from like a single campaign.
Yeah.
Like it actually had people change.
Yeah,
Right.
God, you know, when he said Vote or Die, all I could think of was just a South Park sketch for it. I was just we were watching that recently, where it's like Diddy and like his group just like go up to Stan's house and they just like point a gun to his face like Vote or Die.
Vote or
Can't
die.
run from a 38. Go ahead and try. Yeah, Bono, what's your experience with Go?
My story's similar to Greg. Like, I downloaded it that same day, the day it came out, because I was like, I gotta, it's Pokemon, I gotta play it, right? Because I'm hopelessly addicted. And I remember I was working too. I downloaded it in the afternoon, and I was like going through, like during my time down, I was like, just like going through it, like trying to learn everything I could about it. And I had like a decent understanding. So at the time where I worked, there wasn't a Pokestop, so I had to like drive, because there are way more Pokestops now than there were before when the game launched.
That's
So
why
I
everyone
remember-
went downtown in Reno, is because it was not frequent that you'd have a Pokestop. So like
Right.
that one had like 4 intersecting where you could sit right there and get all 4 of them. So like no one had to pay. You
Right.
would just sit there for like an hour and you were good.
Right. So it's like 9:40 at night, and I'm driving. Obviously, don't do what I do.
I'm gonna bleep out everything you say right now.
But I was driving and like looking at my phone, trying to see like where the hell Pokestops are, like where like, because there are none as far as I could see, until I found a Nugget Market. That you guys know which one the Nugget Market is, but that had one, and then I got pulled into the parking lot, and then there were like 9 of them, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I don't see anybody. It's like the dead of night, like the center's dead, but there's like a bunch of cars, but I don't see anybody. So I'm like looking at my phone, trying to figure out where it is, and I walk closer. And as I like approach the side of the building, there's like 30 or 40 people all just standing there, spinning their phones. And so I had already played a little bit of it, and I had gotten like enough candies to evolve a Zubat, because it was at night, because the spawns change when you're at night or stuff like that. And so I'm just standing there, like making my way through the people, like, okay, I'll just spin this and then I'll go look for the other one. And as I'm doing that, I'm evolving the Zubat, and this like 45-year-old dude is like looking at my phone. He's like, oh, how'd you do that? And I was like, oh, I caught a bunch of Zubat, and now I have enough candies to evolve it. And then like 10 people were like, oh, like how do you evolve Pokemon? Like I got like a bunch of them and stuff like that. And it's so weird that like everybody like just decided to buy it, play it, go out of their way to do that,
Buy it.
and then just jump on like the one person that has like the information.
Yeah, but that was the one night that Bono was popular.
Yeah, and then I just like did that, and I got away from the conversation, and then like it had to have been like 10-20 after I got done with that. I just see like groups and like packs of like 6 people walking around a park in the dead of night, just playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
I would like to know, like, if looking up sales before Pokemon Go and after Pokemon Go released, the battery backups, like the
Yeah.
little USB power banks,
Right.
because
True.
everybody had one at that point. It released, and then like you had to have it, because if you were walking around and the app's not open, like, you're missing out.
Is that
Yeah,
one of those
but
things
you
that
needed the app.
is that one of those games that stimulated the economy, just like the Eras
Yeah.
Tour for Taylor
Yeah,
Swift?
probably.
It did.
Probably. I want to see
Stimulate.
like.
That's Amazon stock before and after Pokemon Go.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Bezos was like, he was like rubbing his head for luck, his bald head, and he's like, "Hell yeah, dude, let's go." But
And I still get nods from people when I'm walking, and I like actually have it out and I'm playing. I'll still get like people like, "What's up?"
still,
Like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Yeah.
like-
Really?
oh,
Yeah.
I thought of like from that initial meetup at like.
No. It's died down, and there are a lot of people I meet that are a lot of older people that are just playing it just to play, and I see them at the restaurant playing, and I'm like, oh, hey, you need a friend? I'll add you, and they'll do it. They just
Yeah.
like to have somebody to talk to.
Yeah, I've seen a few older members at my work like have Pokemon Go on their phone. Like I'm helping them with glasses, and I kind of look over and I'm like their phone's on. I'm like, oh, there's Pokemon Go. But then I will not talk about it because they're like, oh, do you play Pokemon Go? I'm like, I don't play Pokemon Go.
So if you're like Alex and a cynic about the game, it's not dead. It's more alive than ever. It's not as super
I wouldn't say more alive than ever,
before.
but I mean, it's definitely very alive right now.
I mean, because, like, weirdly enough, I stopped playing Pokemon Go when I stopped playing, like, the Pokemon games.
Oh, I was going to say when you stop being single.
No, so I'll get into that, too. But pretty much when they introduced, like, Diamond and Pearl Pokemon, I just stopped playing. At that point, it was like, your box space is X amount, and you use your coins to get more, and you always want to have at least one, but then your strongest one you need to have multiple of, and it's like,
yeah.
It's not like fun going to catch anymore. Now you're just playing a box sim.
Yeah, you're not thinking you're having to think too much about it when, like, mobile games, or, like, just portable games in general is supposed to be like, oh, I play for a little bit and then I'm done. It's like, you don't want to have to, like, sit there and, like modify your team and, like, release Pokemon, get the candies and all that stuff.
But yeah, I played for probably, I don't know how long that took, a couple of years, and Jocelyn refused to play. Refused. She's like, I'm not installing anything on my phone. I'm not doing that. And then I stopped playing, and she's like, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to install it. And to this day, like, no matter where we go, she has it up. Like, we'll be driving, and she has it up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did you wait so long? Like, you went on an hour-long walk with me to get Pokestops and catch things. You just wasted it.
But basically, my experience with Pokemon Go when that was coming out, so I was on kind of the polar opposite of you guys. So this was at a point, let's see. So Bano asked me to help him move to, he was moving into a townhouse, and they had the spiral staircase. And we were moving up like mattresses and box springs, and like I don't think we moved a couch, but like we moved some really heavy stuff. And it's like, it made me start to realize at that moment of like, damn, I am really weak. I mean, look at my arms. Nothing's changed. I'm a lanky man with a giant fucking gut. Thanks, Taco Bell. So that was the point where I asked Bono, I was like, hey, do you want to go to the gym with me? Because I'm like I need to work on this. And so Bono and I were going to the gym for
conversation.
Yeah, so we had a couple months couple solid months in the summer where we were going to the gym together. It was like May or June or so, and then July comes around, and I'm asking Bono like, hey, are we going tonight? He's like, nah, I got to do this thing. I'm like, oh, okay. And the next couple nights was like that. He's like, nah, I'm gonna go do this thing. I'm like, oh, it's probably because of Pokemon Go. So I'm like, and then I probably got mad at him. I was like, you seriously gonna fucking like not go to the gym with me because you want to play Pokemon Go? He's like,
I think I remember that conversation too.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah.
He was getting his exercise. He was walking 6 miles a day.
Yeah. Well, I was on the treadmill alone. Like, where's my friend? I went for another month by myself, and then I was like, this isn't fun anymore. Like, I'm not enjoying this. And so I stopped. It was like the protein shakes weren't like the protein smoothies weren't the same. I was like, it just wasn't the same without having my friend over there. So
basically, Bono ruined your gains.
I ruined his life.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, Bono ruined my gains, and I've reverted back to being a lanky boy with a fat belly. But
it's still his fault.
Yeah. So the reason, and I was very vehemently against Pokemon Go for the longest time, not because of Go itself, the game. Like, out of any of those kind of games, Go would be the one that I would go for. Obviously, I feel like that's the one I would probably end up installing. I just don't like the whole principle of free to start games where it's like, oh, well, you could just download it for free and you don't really have to pay for anything. You just gotta wait a little bit, or like you do so much stuff you don't have to worry about like microtransactions or whatever. I don't like that it's there. I don't like that I have to like that there's that like they really try to like push you to it. And it's like, and you don't get the full experience unless you're really investing time into it. Or it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just more of a traditional, like a boomer mindset, I guess, where it's like, I'd rather pay full price for a game. I don't care if the game is like $30 on a phone. I'd rather have that and not have to worry about like small things as you go, or like, oh, you have to wait this amount of time to have your eggs hatch, or like this amount of time so you could get the Meltan box again. It's like, I can't vibe with it.
I feel like yes and no. I feel like Pokemon Go was actually really good about not doing that. The only thing that you had to like to hatch an egg was walking, which the whole app was to get people walking. So like I get that, but that's also kind of when I stopped playing, as I felt like they had like the raid passes and they had stuff like that. Like it was like they got all the free customers are done, so now they want to get paid. But like I said, Jocelyn's been playing this entire time and she's never put $1 into the game. She's like level 36 or 38 out of 40 and she's never put in $1.
50 now.
But like you don't need to put in money, and I think this is a game that actually did that really well. I don't think it was like a pay to win game. I think it was you gotta grind it out. You gotta find friends and go around, and that's really where she didn't like the game. And when I stopped playing the game is because they started setting up like the raid system, where if you don't know about how that would work is randomly at Pokestops or gyms, there would be raids, and they would be like stars for how hard it is. And I stopped playing when you couldn't play by yourself anymore. When the Pokemon would come up, and unless you have 10 people around you, then you're gonna lose, and you're not gonna catch it. And to me, like the whole thing was, I would go for a walk, I would go out and catch things, and it's like, I don't want to freaking schedule 9 people to meet at a Safeway and wait an hour for a drop to come by. Or what my wife said, she doesn't like the fact that there would be researches behind friends. She's like, I have my group of friends who are playing this. I don't want to get random people to be my friends so I can unlock the next stage of a research so that I can get to a Meltan. Like, that's what she didn't like. But I feel like for the aspect that you're talking about pay, I feel like they actually did really good about you didn't need to pay. I know if you were in the rural area and you didn't have Pokestops, then you're kind of shafted. But I don't think I paid at all my entire time playing. I don't think she's paid at all. But I can see what you're saying about feeling like things are locked away. But in these types of games, it's one of those things that the 99.9% of people playing don't make the money, and that 0.01% is why they still make $1 billion.
Right.
So it's just, some people are just sweaty.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, what is there to spend money on this game? Like, if you have spent money, Bano, like, I don't know what actually do you get by spending money.
I'll tell you what most people spend money on is the item box increase and the Pokemon storage increase. Those are the 2 main things, aside from egg incubators, that people buy.
But like, you get that by being in a gym. Like my wife has thousands of coins, and she's like, she has all that stuff. So like, you don't need to buy
you don't
anything.
need to buy it, but like buying it and getting it instantly is like how it works better for people. Those are like the main things people buy, at least from what I've seen on like the subreddits and stuff like that. Those are what most people sink their money into. But like you said, the game has evolved to like adapt to criticism and adapt to people's like, problems with it. Like, oh, I don't want to have to spend $10 to get 10 to get like 100 Pokeballs. Add more Pokestops. Oh, I still don't want to spend money to increase my storage. Adds the coin system and the gym system. And, adds more gyms. So now there are more gyms than there ever are. And you're more likely than not, if you put 4 or 6 Pokemon anywhere to get at any one point in time, you probably guarantee to get more. Now you can only get 50 coins a day. The storage upgrade, I believe, is 200, so you need to do it for 4 straight days. But on those 4 straight days, you're still playing the game. They're forcing you to, log in and play.
And I
so
guess it almost seems like that there's like, that they still assume that it's still like the social boom that it was in 2016, where it's like, oh, people are going to be there anyways. People are going to be gathering together, so might as well make friends. It's like, I think at this point, it's more of a passive experience for the individual. Where it's like most people that I see, like, they're not in a group playing Pokemon Go. Like, I don't know anybody that's getting together in groups to still play Go. Everybody's just doing it in their daily, like, day-to-day activities.
Yeah, like, I'm sitting here waiting for my food at the Waffle House. Let's see what Pokemon are around.
Oh man, if there's a Waffle House by you, I would be there right now.
There are a lot of Discords that have like a Go section, and it's a lot of just like, hey, I need a touch friend. I just need a friend to get the thing, and then I can delete you. And a lot of people just do that because you know, there's only so many friends that actually like actively play, and they're like, hey, I just need to get this research, and then just delete me, and people will just do that.
Yeah,
that's like a lot of effort just to force something that no one wants.
Yeah.
It's like getting Machamp. I have a Machoke. I don't want to have to depend on somebody. Just give me my goddamn Machamp.
You can for 200 candies.
Yeah, and same with like the real games too, where it's like they try to make it a social thing too, where it's like, oh, you have to have a link cable and you have to know somebody with a Game Boy, and then being willing to trade a Pokemon and assume that they're not going to just run away with your Machoke. So,
or that you trade them and they don't have an Everstone.
Yeah, like that one trainer in Golden Silver, Ruby?
That one bitch.
Yeah, or no, it was in Diamond and Pearl that had the Haunter with the
Diamond and
Everstone.
Pearl.
Evil.
Absolutely evil.
And also, like, I know we've been talking about like the experiences with the game, but we didn't actually talk about what the game is really. So, like we said, like we briefly mentioned, it's an augmented reality. It's based off augmented reality. So it's using your device's GPS to find, catch, train, battle Pokemon. And these Pokemon are showing up in real life on your screen. Like, you have, like, the game, and you see Pokemon there, like, you have to walk over, and then you click it, and you're in battle. And, yeah, the game is free to play, like I mentioned. And there is a freemium business model where additional items, like, let's say if you suck ass and you use all your Pokeballs, then you could purchase more. And there's other events that are locked behind a paywall, like ticketed events. Like, I was just telling Bano that there's going to be one... I think by the time this video comes out, it'll be maybe in like a couple weeks, that there's going to be a Zarude event where it's like $7, $8. You have to pay that amount, and then you could find Zarude in Pokemon Go.
Really?
Yeah, there are ticketed events.
I didn't know there was that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's awful.
Yeah, so it's like there's things like that now too, where it's like this is the thing that I worried that it'd become.
Yeah.
And
I feel like now that you're talking about that, the only thing that I ever thought about buying was actually revives.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone was doing the gyms and it was nuts.
It was
when there
chaos,
was like, when there was like 50 to 100 people there, and like you'd have 35% of red, 40% blue, and your last 25 would be yellow, and I'd be a part of Team Yellow, and you just go in and you immediately die, and you're like, shit, and then you just keep on doing it. That's the only time that I would think about putting money into the game.
Right.
But yeah, that little $8 thing, if that's true, that's awful.
Yeah.
I strongly
there's
disagree
multiple of those, yeah.
The highest one I've seen is 10, but it's like, so you know how we had like the research, right, where it's like catch 5 Pokemon or whatever, and you get 10 Pokeballs for it, or walk a certain amount of mile or kilometers, and they'll give you stuff like that. So that it's like a tiered research thing. So if you buy the $10 one, it'll come with like 10 or 9 tiers of research, which gives you the premium items. So it gives you like incubators.
You're buying a new quest.
Yeah, you're buying a new quest. So it gives you the incubators, lucky egg, incense, encounters with specific Pokemon. Like Alex said, sometimes it'll be like a legendary at the end, like a Mew, or it'll be just like a random Pokemon that fits the theme of whatever's going on. So like tomorrow there's an event, and the main stars are like electric Pokemon, so like the Pikachu clones like Minun and Plusle, Voltorb, and a couple of other Pokemon. So there's a $10 one for that. You can buy that, but I don't think it has like a guaranteed legendary one. Or there's one for $1 where it gives you the tasks, a couple of things, but it gives you like barely any of like it doesn't give you a lot as opposed to the $10 one, but it does give you enough.
And also, I'm starting to realize too. So we have talked about like 1 or 2 mobile games so far on this season, but we haven't really gone in depth about them because like nobody cared about those games. Honestly, if we're gonna be real, who cares about Pokemon Rumble on mobile? Who gives a shit about that? But it's like this one. It's like I feel like that since we're like it's so much more popular and you guys are like really invested in it, we could get into the nitty gritty of like what the freemium games are about and like how these microtransactions apply to your day to day and like is it gonna be worth it or not? And so, of course, yeah.
Did you play with the augmented reality feature?
No,
I always played with just the default background.
Yeah, me too. I shut it off.
And I know Alex was talking about like they use GPS. The game was broken when it came out.
Yeah.
The GPS was garbage. Mm-hmm. They initially had like you'd see on the map like where the Pokemon is that immediately got cut because their servers couldn't handle it. Mm-hmm. But like I mean like technically it did that. but it did not run well early.
yeah.
I want to know something too. I mean, how did this game handle during the pandemic? Because people were like complaining about like I think when things started, like when lockdown orders started lifting and people were getting upset, it's like, oh well, I don't want to have to go outside because like I don't want to possibly get sick, or I don't want to get like this and that. So it's like I want to know like how did they handle during like 2020 to when things started lifting.
Oh, they
So
catered. They catered to everybody.
Yeah, they did it where you could do like remote raids. So like there's a like if there's a gym like 2 miles away, there's no way I could reach it. I could access that gym from home.
You get one of
So like
day.
they actually
Yeah.
actually catered to it decently. They give you more like incense, so they would spawn around your house. Like,
Yeah, they also increased the spawn rate too, so you didn't actually have to move, because that's how the GPS tracking works. If you don't move, you're only ever going to get like a couple spawns like every like 20 to 30 minutes. But if you're constantly moving and the GPS is following, it'll spawn Pokemon as you go.
Yeah.
And the more closer you get to like Pokestops and whatnot, that's where it just starts throwing them at you,
Gotcha.
enticing you to go there.
I remember my brother was playing for a little bit, and for him, it's like he just wants to find a way to win. He's just like, he's the most competitive person I know when it comes to games. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like Guitar Hero or if it's like Overcooked. He is taking control, he's taking initiative, and he's going to be like, we're doing this, I'm going to win. I don't give a shit about anything else, I'm going to win. And so I remember when we were hanging out at one point, and he was showing me that he was doing GPS spoofing on Pokemon GO, so he could catch Pokemon that weren't in his area, so he could just get more variety of Pokemon. Because he's like, I'm not going to be going over to Australia to get like whatever. So, and I understand it, but it's like, yeah, but it's kind of a unique thing about it. But also, if you're trying to complete the national dex, it's like I feel like it'd be more tough if it's like if let's say like a Kangaskhan is not in your direct vicinity and you have to go on the other side of the world to go catch it. Like it's wild, but it's an interesting concept in theory.
Before we talked about how the game catered to people, like you said, during COVID, Pokemon Go catered to fit, people's lifestyles there during that time. Now it's on the opposite side where the people are catering to Pokemon Go, because like you said, before when they were like locked to the continents, now you can be like, hey, does anybody live in France? And somebody would be like, yeah. Did you catch a Mr. Mime? Or are you available to catch Mr. Mimes? Yeah. Here's my friend code. Can you possibly trade me one? And you could trade, over wireless. So that's how people would do it.
So you feel like the people are keeping the game alive now? Not the game is actually...
I feel like it's a back
worthy?
and forth. Like the game will do something, people will adapt to it, or people will adapt a strategy, and then the game will eventually implement it. Kind of like how in the beginning with revives, like you said, you could only use one at a time to revive one Pokemon each. Now there's a heal all and revive all function, and it'll just use all the items at once.
Dang.
Yeah, so you don't have to bother just like, which one do I want? And you can still do that if you want. You can still do, I don't want this one to be revived. I do want this one. I do want this one. But if you just want to do them all, you can do that.
But I know there was the classic where, like, when you're playing the game, you're like, you got to press down B when you're throwing so that you get better things.
Yeah,
I still
but
do
like
that.
when you're playing this, it was like, you're not curving? You're not throwing a curveball?
Yeah.
Dude, are you even trying to catch?
That was Bano. The one time I played Go, Bano was like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
You're not even doing a curveball?
Yeah. And I think when it launched too, there was only like one distance. They hadn't done like multiple distances yet to gauge like Pokeball throws. So there was like a bunch of accessory devices that you could like lay on top of your screen and just move your finger within it to guarantee like an excellent catch every time.
Oh, huh.
But I feel like the little extra gimmicks that they add to like add uniqueness make me not want to play. Like when a Pokemon just heads butts 25 times in a row and you're like, dude, I'm about to throw my phone against this wall.
You gotta use your Nanab berries.
It's like in Gen 1 when Bellsprout would use Wrap and you're just stuck in that and you can't do anything. It just perpetually uses it. But so Greg, you mentioned very briefly about like how around like when they start implementing Diamond and Pearl Pokemon, you're like, I think I've had enough. So this game, as you can tell, had not launched just like with everything in it already. So it started with Gen 1 minus Ditto, the Legendaries, and Mew. And then they started to like slowly implement things like Legendaries, other generations. Right now they're slowly starting to add stuff from Gen 9. Like there's a few Pokemon here and there. But these Pokemon, there's also a bunch of Pokemon from Gen 4 through Gen 8 that are still not available as well. Like I think like Mudsdale is one that's not in the game still. Like there's a handful of Pokemon that just haven't been in the game yet.
But I feel like that's why it was so strong early.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have gone like, I think because when it came out they were on Gen 6. If they would have started like Gen 6, I don't think anybody would have cared.
No.
But you got everyone from OG Pokemon fans like me, like Gen 1 was like, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. And then people who are currently playing, so it got everyone to come in.
Yeah.
I think it was really smart to start with the OGs.
I agree.
And then I think they waited a little too long. I think they had a little bit too fall off before adding Gen 2. I was having a ton of fun, and then they released like the raids like with the legendaries, and actually that was the point where I was like, okay, I'm probably gonna start playing this passively.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't play phone games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get sweaty with my phone.
Yeah.
Like that's just not me. But I think it was super smart starting with Gen 1.
Yeah. No, I agree, because I feel like it would have been overwhelming, not just of like I don't know these Pokemon, but it's a lot of Pokemon to just throw into one game at once. And also with that demographic of the Gen 1 crowd, because like we all know online of like internet people that are like Gen 1ers, or I know people in real life that are Gen 1ers, where they're just like, oh, all the other games are shit, and it's only Red and Blue, it's only the original. It's like, first of all, shut up. Gold and Silver are some of the best games. But second of all, it's like, it's just, yeah, those ones are a lot of times are most recognizable, like Charizard. Like, imagine if they delayed the release of Charizard for whatever reason, for like a raid or whatever. It's like, no, you're getting all those right away out of the initial, and then later on for like the hardcore fans, like, well, I guess not hardcore because they're still selling millions and millions of copies of these games. It's
I think they're still netting like billions of dollars
let's say
every year.
more dedicated fans, where it's like they're like, oh sweet, we got Gen 2 now, we got Gen 3. And then it's like, and then you have something for the more dedicated fans to look forward to, instead of just like the Gen 1 crowd and like the 90s nostalgia crowd. So I feel like that's where a lot of the hype was online, because I was just kind of like ear to the ground, I guess, at that point. And it seemed like a lot of the Gen 1 crowd, like the basic, like I guess now the TikTok crowd, I guess I would call it. It's like they are the ones that are like, oh my gosh, you remember Pokemon? You remember this? It's like, yeah, it's like they're the same people that be like, remember Furbies?
I think it's funny though that I played Pokemon Go the exact opposite as I play every other Pokemon game. With Pokemon Go, I was like, I need to catch everything. You need to catch everything so that you can evolve everything, and I want to catch everything. And then battling, I was like, I don't care. But with the mainline games, it's like, okay, I'll pick out my team, and I want to do a little battles. Like, I'm going to seek out every trainer. And it's funny how it was the polar opposite. Like, I didn't like the battles.
Right.
It was like an early rendition of how the raids are in Scarlet and Violet, where you're just mashing and you hope it lands.
Right.
You just press into your button and you're like, oh, did it hit? Did it register yet? Did it register yet?
But
Well,
also
now
battles were
I wanna-
implemented right away, right?
I don't think so, but I do want to add this in.
Yeah, they were, because they did the gyms, and you'd put the gyms up, and then you would knock
Or
out
no,
the
it's
Pokemon.
trading that wasn't implemented right away. There was something
Then
there.
you would like press it,
Yeah.
and you'd like swipe, like, oh, did I dodge the attack? And then you'd like get one shot. You're like, oh, I guess I didn't dodge the attack.
I want to add this in because I feel like Alex might know, but I don't know if Greg knows. Greg, do you know that they have an international championship for Go? For the World Championships, yeah, it's part of the World Championships. They have TCG, VGC, and the Pokemon Go.
Well, and then just the person who gets the better swipe of the combo power
No,
move.
it's the battling, so it's the tapping.
That's so
I
stupid.
love it.
Yeah, there's a world champion for Go. I think
Well,
it's been
I'm
there
glad-
for like
I'm
the last
glad
couple of
that
years.
Whoever's playing and having fun with it, I'm glad for you, not for
Right.
me.
So what you're
Right.
saying is,
Do what makes you happy.
hey, there we go. That's the thing. He said the thing.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that go behind it. I don't know anybody that like does it professionally, but I do know that I've seen a couple videos where they're like, this event's happening. You gotta get this one and have it because it comes with this specific move and it'll help you in like online battles and whatnot.
Yeah.
But even like from the get-go, you'd be like, oh, I caught this super high point one. I'm going to evolve this one. And they're like, no, you have to do the appraisal to see if you got good stars.
You got
evolved a
garbage.
shit one.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I don't want to use all the candies. This one's like level 24.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to just get my one that's like already at 1,000.
Right.
And also, so when you start the game, you're if I'm just going to go back to like the game itself, I guess. So
Yeah.
you're being assisted by Professor Willow. who gives the trainer their first Pokemon, which is one of the Kanto starters, of course. So you get to choose Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle. I chose Bulbasaur. Because...
Yeah, I recently just saw somebody start a new game, and it's still the same thing. You talk to Willow, and you still pick the starters.
Are you talking about me?
No, not you. Somebody else.
Okay.
What team did you pick?
I didn't pick a team, but
yeah, he got there yet. You have to get to a certain level now to pick a team.
Not a lot of people were yellow around me.
Yeah, they're not, because it's all about Team Mystic.
A lot of red and blue.
I'd be blue if I picked.
It's all about Team
Arctic Mystic, my
dog.
favorite. Yeah, I'd be Mystic. But
Mystic.
Yeah, so you know what? I'm just because I was thinking about talking about this later on, but you know what? I'll just get my experience with Pokemon Go out of the way of playing it. So a month ago.
About a month
ago, about 8 years after the release of the game, I finally played Pokemon Go for a video that I'm working on, a big project that I'm working on. It should hopefully be out soon, fingers crossed. But yeah, so I realized that there are a couple Pokemon that are exclusive to Pokemon Go, new Pokemon that are only available in Go. And
Still only available.
I was like, and I knew when I was going into it, I was like, I'm gonna have to play Go for the first time when I was prepping everything. And so it was getting closer, and I was like, Bano, I think I need your help to, film me playing Pokemon Go. It's it's time. He came over, and I was sitting right here. He was recording me. I was starting my game up. I was like, this feels dirty. I feel so weird about it. And it felt wrong. And
it feels like does it feel like installing Fortnite?
It felt like it more so felt like I was watching, something I shouldn't have. It felt like I was watching something I shouldn't have in front of friends, like I was watching porn or something like that. And I was like, don't judge me. And so I got my starter, I caught a Pokemon, and then we were like, okay, let's go to the park. Let's go. Well, actually, no. I had to so to get Meltan, you have to connect your Pokemon Go to Pokemon Home. So use a transporter and bring a Pokemon over to Go. And then in return, you'll be getting this thing called a mystery box, I think, or
I thought you had to use the Let's Go game from the Switch.
No.
I think he has to trade a Pokemon to Home now. That's how.
Yeah, you trade it to Home. I think you can do Let's Go, but I traded to Home, and then it was like, oh, well, now you have a mystery gift for this item, and so when you load it up onto Go, you have 60 minutes to find Meltans in the world, and usually the requirements to evolve a Pokemon is around 50 candies, I would say, like 20 to 50 candies, depending on if it's a 2-stage evolution or a 3-stage. But this one requires 400 candies to evolve to Melmetal. And so you have to get a lot of Meltans to evolve and get a Melmetal. And it's luckily in my case over here, that since Generation 8, and they have not ended this yet, that if you transfer a Pokemon from Go to Home, you also get a mystery gift download of a level 100 Melmetal Gigantamax. So, I didn't have to do that. All I did was catch one Meltan, and I was good. I only played for a total of 5 minutes. And trying to catch...
You never even tried to do it anymore?
Hell no.
You're just you're not sitting there waiting for your food at Mel's,
No.
and you're like, I wonder what's around me.
Not at all. Not at all. I uninstalled it pretty much right away. So I got my Meltan, I got my Melmetal, and I was like, I'm out. And also, when I was catching the Meltan, Bono was constantly criticizing it, trying to tell me how to catch the Pokemon. And I was trying to do the curve, and it wasn't working. And then I was like, I went through 10 Pokeballs, I think, just trying to catch this thing. Because it was all shit throws.
You're doing it wrong.
Basically.
You're not even doing it
Yeah,
right.
you're just mashing it. No. But yeah, that's the full extent of my experience with Go.
You were talking about the candies and everything, and I think that was a decent feature.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that if it was less, that the 50 for the medium stage was fine, 25 for first stage, because it's you had to, if you're trying to level up Pokemon, you had to kind of grind it, and it wasn't. Everybody knew you were going to have 1.5 billion Pidgeys.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a Pidgeot. But it felt at least for even the starters, when I get it, it's going to be rewarding. And I feel the the amount they did was reasonable. I think 400 is pretty awful.
Yeah, I think it's like
I know like Magikarp was 400 and Milotic was 400.
That's
and
Swablu is 400 for some reason. I don't know why.
But also, there's one Pokemon that was exempt from the candy rule, which is Gimmighoul, which that one, it's like in the games, like, so in the games of Scarlet and Violet, you need 999 Gimmighoul coins for it to evolve into Golden Go. And so there are Gimmighoul coins now in Pokemon Go that allow it to evolve. So it's like when you catch Gimmighouls, I believe you get the Gimmighoul coins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but also Gimmighoul has two different forms. So it has a chest form, which you get in the Scarlet and Violet games, but in Go, you get the roaming form. So it's just the character itself, not in the chest. And so...
You talking about the string cheese guy?
Yeah, so the string cheese guy is the evolution, Golden Go. Yeah, I'm talking about the first stage, the Gabagool.
Oh, yeah.
The one in the chest.
Gabagool.
You gotta get the Gabagool. And so, and we just mentioned as well, so catching Pokemon. So, basically, these Pokemon, the wild Pokemon can't be battled traditionally. So rather, you just throw Pokeballs at it before it runs away. And so, when you're holding a Pokeball, then a ring will show up on the Pokemon, and it'll start to shrink. And then by the time it gets to the smallest circle on there, that's when you throw it. And if it lands in that ring, then you get a better capture. It could be like an excellent capture, a great capture. Yeah, you get more XP that way as well. And stronger Pokemon might have a different color ring on there. So like a basic Pokemon, like let's say a Pidgey, would have a green ring on it. But like a Tauros might have a yellow ring, or an Aerodactyl might have a red ring on it. That means that it's more difficult to catch. And so there are certain items that'll make it easier to catch those Pokemon, like raspberries will make it easier to catch, or like a Nana Berry will slow it down, or a Pineapple Berry, I think, gives you more candies when you catch the Pokemon. I can't believe I remember that. But also it's from Let's Go as well, so.
I feel like I really liked half of that feature.
Yeah.
I really liked the aspect of like, oh, it's red. Oh, gotta use a Great Ball.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I gotta use an Ultra Ball. And like the ring getting smaller and closer, because it felt like you had to be into it. You couldn't just like throw it and not pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said earlier, I hated the aspect of like budding, uncatchable, because that's the only time where it felt like they just want me to fucking pay money.
Mm-hmm.
Like they want me to throw all these Pokeballs for this uncatchable Pokemon, and then I'm out and I have to buy money.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only time where it's like, no.
It's tempting fate.
Like, because I was telling Alex when we were talking earlier, like, I don't play mobile games, so this is probably my #1 mobile game of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the most angry I ever got of all time is playing Pokemon Go. When you're like, I've already thrown 10 Pokeballs. You know what? Fuck it. You can just go. I'm done. I'm done with you.
Be gone, vile Pokemon. Be gone.
But I liked the aspects of like requiring higher tier Pokeballs to catch. I think that the berries were fine. I just hated the like where it felt like they was trying to get you to pay for being. I got to use 3 of the bananas so that he actually is catchable. Like that's shitty to me.
I think it worked better in Let's Go. Like I really like
Let's Go was...
Yeah, I like the usage in Let's Go. And we talk about Let's Go, which a lot of the catching aspects of that are very much one for one as it is in Go. So I feel like there's a lot of like direct like relations
inspiration
over there. Yeah. And I had a lot of fun in Let's Go. I feel like that if there was like a thing on Pokemon Go where it's like you pay $60 and you get the whole game and you don't have to worry about it, I would have bought it right at launch.
But you say that, and I don't think that like that could ever work like that. Like, what are you paying for?
Whereas, like,
what are you paying for like $60? Like, they just give you infinite Pokeballs? Like, I
guess.
But what do you? Or you already bought DLC. Are you gonna buy every event ticket that comes out after that?
I don't know. It's like I don't know. But I mean, I guess it wouldn't work like that. But there's only 2 games that I own that I have on my phone. I don't really play them, but I bought them because it's just a one-time purchase and that's it. But also those games, like, they're not like, oh, this is going to change your multiplayer on Mario Run. It's like, Mario Run was $5. And it's just a simple game while I'm on the toilet. I can just, like, jump around in a level or 2. Or I have Peglin, which actually Greg recommended me. Thank you, by the way. Peglin is one of my favorites. Just, like, I'm going to play for, like, 10 minutes and just play a round of it and see how I do. And that's a game where it's like, they're very staunch on, like, pay $8, here's a whole game, no ads, no none of it. And I love that. I love that model. I guess it's just, again, it's like a boomer mindset almost. It's like, I like how the games used to be, where it's like, I guess this is kind of a mindset that I had when I was younger about when DLC started to become more of a thing, like on Xbox 360 and stuff, is that it's like you're buying a 1,000-piece puzzle, but they only give you 750 pieces, and then you got to pay more to get the rest of the 250 pieces. Like, I want the whole thing right away. Like, I don't want to have to worry about, like, oh, well, I have to pay more on this one just because it's not a complete set. Like, there's some games I think that do the DLC model well, like Breath of the Wild. Whereas, like, you don't need the DLC at all. It's a perfect game on its own. That just adds more. It's like adding, like, a cherry to the sundae. It's like, the sundae's great, and then the cherry just adds more to it.
Yeah, you should not buy the Pokemon DLC.
I mean, we'll talk about that later. I mean, Crown Tundra is worth it on Sword and Shield. Indigo Disc, however, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Yeah, so, we talked about candies. We talked about Meltan. So the wild Pokemon of the overworld depends on the real world environment. We talked about that.
I think that aspect because I think we didn't go over it completely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So urban areas would have like fire. Parks would have like grass, and by the water would have water. And I think in theory, it was really cool.
Yeah.
And at the start, like I would visit she was my girlfriend at the time. She lived in the Bay, so I'd come over and I'd get like water Pokemon, and then I'd go back and not like in theory it's really cool, but it's also like super gatekeeping for people who can't.
What if you're like in the middle of like Idaho or Wyoming or something like that?
Where are you supposed to go
to
get something? If you live in the desert, does that mean you just always have ground Pokemon around you?
Yeah,
I mean ground master.
I mean. I feel like that it is limiting depending on where you're at geographically. It sounds like maybe do they cater? I wonder if they cater to certain like audiences if you're not near like a certain area. Like let's say if you're like, for example, in Saudi Arabia, like do they have more variety of Pokemon because you're not close to a certain like environment, like biome?
Right.
It made a lot of people play like your brother and just cheat with location.
Yeah.
Which
I guess in those cases would be more of a necessity, but I wonder if they have it adapt to geographical locations.
Well,
so
to combat
if you know, let me know in the comments.
To combat that somewhat, they've introduced seasons where they'll introduce Pokemon that normally you aren't able to catch. That's how Kangaskhan and stuff are like now available. Also, they've added like some of those Pokemon to raids as well, so now you can just do them to get that. But like you said, there's a little bit of gatekeeping, but you kind of just have to wait still until they like do an event like that, and then eventually you'll get it. But it is just a matter of time.
Didn't they release?
Because like where would you get water Pokemon in around you? There is no body of water around you in any way.
There's a lake.
No. It's an hour away, but yeah.
Yeah, but also, didn't they release all the forms of Vivillon? They're all relegated to certain locations in the world.
I don't know. Vivillon's a Pokemon I never think about, but yeah, I would assume they did that.
I'm pretty sure that's what they did, but that's something where it's like I think that really emphasizes like more of the social aspect of it, or like the forced social aspect, but more in the online sense instead of IRL. It's like I can't imagine like meeting somebody and they have a Vivillon from Japan. It's like, and like if I saw that, I'd be like, who are you? Tell me your story. But yeah, so Pokestops, we mentioned them briefly, but they're fixed at real-world locations where you obtain a bunch of items. So actually, when Go came out, the store that I worked at was a Pokestop. I worked at a Jelly Belly retail store, and so we had a bunch of kids, especially, and just a bunch of people in general, that summer, going into my store, not doing anything, and just using it as a Pokestop. I'm like, really, dude? You just stand outside of the store, and you'll be able to get it. Don't go in here and just loiter for no reason.
I think initially it wasn't that bad, because it was a lot of like it had to have significance. Like it was a lot of art, so you would be walking around parks and everything that had art was like a Pokestop. So it was like cool. You got to explore a bunch of things, and then it just became, hey, we just sold a bunch of Pokestops where every Starbucks is a Pokestop.
Starbucks,
every this is a Pokestop, and you're like,
it's not special.
It just seems, where they're like there's so many around you. I don't want to go to Starbucks for a Pokestop. I don't want to go to Starbucks ever. Yeah. But I'll walk around the park and see this cool like little fish statue that I'll spin from.
There's also, I think now if you're a certain level, you can recommend Pokestops. like in random places. Like you can just be like, hey, I want a Pokestop here, and then Niantic will look into it, and if it's like a park or something, they'll put one there.
That's funny.
Also, that's also how a lot of kids made money that summer, because they would use the lures and put them at somewhere and then like start selling like candy or lemonade or something and get people to go there because the lure was active and more Pokemon were available to catch. There's also a little bit of crime too, but you know, it's worth talking about because there were stuff like that too.
So if you had like a lemonade stand in front of your house and you were selling a bunch of lemonade and you were doing business, could you request Niantic to put a Pokestop at your home?
No, it has to be like
it has to be something.
Or it has to
can't just be like your house,
like a public or like something like that. Okay.
Right, like
yeah, because I know originally they had all churches, and then they kind of, like they removed like all churches. So.
Yeah. I think one of the more bad ones, I think with the Holocaust Museum, was the Pokestop.
Oh no!
And then they removed that one.
That's rough. That's
and it's
really
the same
rough.
thing. They had a lot of people just walk in and just leave.
That's fucked up. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So
That's
they
that's
definitely
fucked.
did like a redo of all of them, and I think now it's pretty good.
It sounded like it was more like algorithm based more than it was like, at least at the time, and now they're like more focused on it.
Well, like the Blaze Pizza has like an art mural, and that's a Pokestop.
I mean,
They
I can
got
see
rid of
that. I mean, I can see that
They tried to
over
do it-
like.
Yeah, they try to do it based on art.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why the museums and stuff.
And I've seen some disappear, like the cross trees at In-N-Out used to be one. Now it's not, for whatever reason. I don't know why they took that one down.
They're not straight edge. They're not with it.
Probably Burger King paid them off.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of like, what do you call it? Like, you know, like housing areas where they have like, it's not like gated communities, but they have like the wall and it'd be like Rock Creek or this, that, or the other. Those are Pokestops for whatever reason. Yeah.
Weird.
Probably
So-
somebody asked and they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, battling is so weird in this game to me. Still, it's like you have like a what was it, like you have two different types of attacks. You have like a fast attack and a charge attack, right?
Yep, and you got to hit the fast attack to build up the charge attack, and then you can use the charge attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But it's
and
also about It's all about, you gotta think, Greg. Think, because then you could like,
you can
when you're
tap
in battle
fast
with somebody,
and then you tap slow.
if you do it, you can delay like switching and delay like damage on other Pokemon. Like if you like do it and then wait to do like a charge attack, they can, you know. And then also to balance it out, there's shields. I don't think we'd added that, but you could like
so
block
you're
an
talking
attack.
about different battling.
Yeah.
The initial battling was just the gym.
Yeah.
Which would be you'd have your Pokemon, and then you would do the light attack, and then the power attack, and then you'd like try to shift left and shift right, and it was like fine. It was very meh.
Yeah.
Like you just did it to do it. Like you could look away and just keep on doing it. But you're talking about the battling later, where you'd like battle Team Rocket or battle somebody else, where you're like, I charge it, and then you like your heavy attack is you got to do like touch the screen in a zigzag, and you're like, okay, I got it, and then your enemy just throws up a shield.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's kind of like really, 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 really bad chess,
Yeah.
but
I love
think
it.
I think the battling was the lowest point of the game.
Yeah.
for me.
I like the battling because it does make it a little bit challenging, especially if you don't specialize or like you don't have like a bunch of strong Pokemon. You really have to like think about and then like when you're gonna execute your charge attack, and if it's gonna buy you enough time to like switch to another Pokemon, or wait till your Pokemon's almost dead then switch, because then the AI will like stop for a little bit, and then you could use that time to get like free damage and stuff like that.
To me, it's definitely the battling reminds me so much of Scarlet and Violet, and I hate it.
Just smashing the
of
button.
the,
Yeah,
of the
just
raids.
Yeah.
The Pterodens are so
Yep.
chained.
The Pterodens.
Yeah.
That's what
We
it's like.
literally
So if
just-
you've played Scarlet and Violet and not Pokemon Go, it's like the Pterodens, where you're like you have no clue if your move's going, if anything is going on, and then just somebody dies, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
Like, we literally did Pterodens last night, and that's how I felt as well. It's like, this is so shit. Why are we doing this?
Right. Am
And
I
it,
dead?
and it made
Oh,
me
I'm
want to
dead.
go back to Dynamax Adventures. But you know what? Our friend needed help, so we were there to try and help him. We still
we couldn't
lost.
help him.
Yeah, we couldn't help him. I had to do it solo.
But like going back to it, like as much as I would like the turn-based, I don't think it would work in this environment. When you're trying to have 10 people battle at the same time, your battles would take forever. So you kind of need that just tap, 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 and then the server in the background knows what's going on, maybe. But I think what they did is for the best of the game. It just wasn't fun for me.
Mhm.
And yeah, so also with that one, there were two Pokemon actually that were usable in battle, Ditto and Shedinja. And so I think it might have to do with Shedinja's ability that I feel because it only has one health, and its ability Wonder Guard only allows super effective attacks to hit it.
Well, there are no abilities in this game.
Yeah, so there's no
I
ability.
think it's just the 1 HP.
Yeah.
You said Shedinja. I was thinking Greninja, and I was like, why?
Yeah, why?
That's so random.
Yeah. No, Shedinja, I know, yeah, the abilities aren't in the game, but it still only has like one health, so it's not like you can really use it for that. So, yeah, I mean, I understand with that one. But Ditto, I feel like that they could have, I don't know how well they could have made it work.
It just takes a lot more programming because you'd have to be able to see their Pokemon, change it, and then like do a randomness of changing your abilities.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if you put that on the list, but there was also you could change your light and heavy moves.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you got a Pokemon, you're like, this one's super strong, but it's like Donphan and he has Dragon Rush and Ember, and you're like, what? That's terrible. You could either spend points or try to find or get a reward so that you can get new TMs and light and heavy, but still it's random. Like it's not gonna get for sure.
It is
So
random.
there'd be some cases where I had a Tyranitar and you had like Fire Blast and you're like, well, I guess my Tyranitar will always have Fire Blast now.
Yeah, they do pull it there. There is a Pokedex on Cerebi now, and you can look at the list of available moves, but it is completely random. So you will just have to blow through TMs until you get the one you want. And then they also added where you could buy a second charge move now for a certain amount of candy on every Pokemon. So you could get like Earthquake and something else. But that's also for like the battle, because sometimes it'll have like a really strong charged attack and like a really not powerful charge attack that charges faster so that you could pop it off. So like
it would be like Brick Break and then also Dynamic Punch.
So are you starting
to have like one where it's like a half of a bar and one's like a full bar?
So are you starting to understand now why they have a competitive Go scene for battling?
I mean, I guess, but like that's where I feel like what they're talking about. Every time Bano talks about modern Pokemon Go, it seems like they were like, shit, we need more money. Let's create a new feature that requires money. So like OG is what I'm talking about, and like you didn't seem like you needed to pay money. But I feel like now if you want to maximize what the game is, you kind of do have to pay money at this point.
And I really like this like split perspective on all of us actually, where it's like we have Bano who's more like on it the whole time. He's been playing the whole time, never left. We have you over here, Greg, where it's like you played right at the beginning, and those are your initial memories because like, and that's the thing where it's
Pokemon
like
Go boomer.
It sticks the most too, where it's like you have like it has the most impact for you. And then you have me, where like I guess in this case you'd call it objective, I guess, where it's like I have no idea about any of this happening right now. So it's like I'm listening, I'm like, wow, there's like a change between like how much of a change there is from like, oh, it's just a social game where like people will get together and they catch Pokemon and stuff together, and then it's like, no, there's battling, fuck you, charge moves and battle pass or whatever.
But yeah, the only thing that seems like feature that Bono's been talking about that seems like good is the accessibility. They really are trying to make it so anybody can play and it's easier, but everything else is just like, stop.
Stop.
I don't feel like I need to buy a battle pass for a Pokemon game. And
Yeah.
I think I've spent I've definitely spent more than 50, but less than 100 overall. It has to be somewhere in 60,
if you've
70.
been playing it for 8 years, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember when I would play League, I would put like $20 a year just in like cosmetics. Just like I'm playing the game, like it's definitely I'm getting more than a normal game out of it. So like I don't feel bad that way.
And those are just purely cosmetic, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
So like, I get it. Like, I'm not gonna shun you for putting money in a game that you have hours and hours and hours into.
Right.
But like, do you feel like your money is useful, or you just like do it and you're like, oh?
I feel like it's like in spurts. Like I'll use some of the coins to do whatever's happening, and then I'll just save the rest till like the next time I want to do it. So like for example, we just had the Sinnoh Pokemon Go tour, which is a whole other thing, but we'll get into later. But they had raids for Origin Form Palkia and Origin Form Dialga, like just going constantly, and they removed the raid limit because there's a limit to how many raids you can do in a day now. So you can do 5 in a day, but you only get the one free raid pass where you can go and physically do it. and then the rest have to be like remote raids. You can also layer it too, like if you got a remote or a raid pass on one day, and then the next day comes up and you can spin it, then you have to use the other one, but then you get 2 raids technically in a day for free, but the other ones are all the paid for ones. So they removed that limit, so all you have to do is buy like a bunch and then just keep doing the raids, and the chances for shinies I think were like 1 in 20.
So do you do the big raids when they come out, and how do you schedule that? Do you just wait at a spot until there's a crowd of people?
There are groups, like the park, not the park near me, but the one by is the, I don't know what the park's called, but they have a group every time. It's like from 6 to 7 when the major events happen. That's where like a lot of people are. Would it be like every Saturday 6 to 7? Yeah, that's when like the raid hour or like the raid days happen. You can look on it too. There's like a companion app called Campfire now that works with it, and that also works for like doing remote raids anywhere in the world. You can just keep resetting until you find a raid that you want, or it'll like just send you to a raid that needs to be filled, and you can just do that. It also, like, you can also organize events there, and then people will check like whether or not they're going to go, kind of like Facebook. Like, are you going to go? Yeah. Are you going to not go? No. And stuff like that.
DTR.
Yeah.
You're down to raid.
I did not get a shiny. My friend did though, and I was super pissed. He got shiny origin form Dialga.
Nice. Yeah. So also in this game, there's no levels to the Pokemon per se. That the trainers will have levels and they gain experience on that. But then the Pokemon have capture powers, or CP, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah. So the trainers earn experience and they level up, and they're rewarded with items and certain level unlock parts, like specific items. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what those items entail.
It is very underwhelming. Yeah. You would just get like Pokeballs or
berries,
revives,
or like a 2K egg. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so gyms also are a thing too. So after you reach level 5, then you can participate in the gyms, like you guys have mentioned, and you get to join a team. And so it's there's Team Mystic, which is signified with Articuno. There's Team Instinct, which is signified by Zapdos, and Team Valor, which is Moltres. And so
they also had a description of like, is this your character profile? Yeah. And I think whatever Bono's team was like, they're sissy. They don't like doing anything. They overthink everything.
Min-max.
And like Instinct was like, hey, just go with your gut. Just do it.
Yeah, min-max.
And Valor was just, do what makes you happy, man. Do what makes you happy. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I joined a team, I would be on Mystic because Articuno is my favorite of the 3. I like ice types, always have. But yeah, so being on the team helps with cooperating or competing against rival teams. Gangs, team gangs, for control over a gym. And if the gym's under certain teams' control, they deploy one of their Pokemon to defend it or feed berries to current defenders.
Yeah, I got.
Sorry, I had a bit of a stutter right there.
I liked the gym mechanic early. I don't know how it works now, but I did like early on where you're like, oh, I just put something in, and you walk home and you're like, it's red, and you're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Going for a walk again.
Yeah.
like you was actually like you felt pride and like I want to see yellow all around me.
You know what this is,
turf war. There is a turf war at the where I work.
I still see like stickers of like the logos of these teams on people's cars, like decals of like Team Mystic or whatever. I'm like, this is insane. It's like people make their whole personalities based off of that, and I'm like, there are so many parallels to gangs right now.
you would have like a sense of pride when like you were at the university and then you'd see all the gyms like yellow and you're like, got it. Because I would get there early before people because I'd have to work, and it'd be like everything would be yellow, and then you like check it halfway through the day and it's like all red and blue, and you're like, come on.
Yeah. Right.
No one's yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
I think the gang war at my work has evened out. They know that I only work on the weekend, and so the gyms are blue on the weekend, but during the week they're like red or yellow because I'm not there.
It's just the red scare for them, you know.
It did get to like a point like with the initial start of the war was like one Saturday where I was there where I had taken it over and left it, and then I think it's like baby something. It's baby something. They live in the back of my head rent free because every time I see their stupid Chansey, I'm like, you son of a bitch, how dare you?
I didn't like. I don't remember if it was at the start, but I don't like the decay aspect.
Oh yeah,
I feel like it wasn't at the start, but like it was a way like to use up your berries. So basically, you'd put a Pokemon in, if it stayed there, you would earn coins, and that's like the way you get currency.
Right. You only learn 50 a day.
But it would decay out, so you would have to spend resources to keep it in there, or it would get knocked out, or like you'd check on like a gym and everybody would be one hit away. It's just a way of making it so anybody can do gym. So a kid who just started, if a gym's been unwatched, he could go in and just knock everything out and put it in his little Rattata.
And also, like you said, you can feed it the berries to keep it up, but that's a depreciating value too. So if you put like 5 in a row, it'll only do like plus 50 instead of like the plus 300 it did before. Unless you waste, and goes back to fucking baby cakes. You put in the golden raspberry that you get from raids, it recharges it all the way to the top. So what happened that day is I saw that he took it over, and I was like, oh, okay, bastard, I'm gonna do that. Beat his Chansey, and just as it was like 300 health left, he maxed it up, and I was like, all right, we're doing this, and I kept doing it.
I gotta sit here for 5 more minutes.
Yeah, I did it for a full hour
until
he did it, and then the next day he tried. He says my gym's under attack, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's under attack. Here's a fucking golden raspberry, and it was goddamn baby cakes who was trying to take my gym.
You know what this reminds me of?
You assuming their gender, Bono?
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of like 2 dogs like fighting and barking at a fence, and then when they finally see each other, like they're like, okay, what
oh,
what
that's
are
100%.
Yeah.
In your head, you're like, oh, fuck this
motherfucker.
person. I hate them. And then you're just like sitting there. You guys are just playing. You guys are just tapping next to each other.
Yeah,
and
right. Like, oh, hey, what's up,
I
dude?
told my coworker, I was like, here, I was like, honestly, play for me. I'm gonna go find this dude.
I'm gonna find baby cakes.
I'm gonna find baby cakes. We'll start knocking on windows. Be like, you baby cakes?
Yeah.
It's like some 10-year-old in his mom's van.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bono sends regards.
Well, there are people, I have seen them, who will drive to gyms and then take them over and then drive away. I'm like, oh, okay. Time to take that back.
Literal drive-bys. How is
Yep. It's a drive-by.
And I'm like, I'll take that back now. Thank you.
And so also, if you're a two-faced rat bastard, you could also purchase a team medallion that changes your team, which is roughly about $10.
I think
You
it's
changed
20.
your team?
Yeah, you can change teams now.
You can change.
No, but you changed your team, Bono?
No,
No,
I'm
I'm
still
just-
into teamistic.
Rat bastard is not an exclusive thing. All right.
I mean, when he's in the chat.
Yeah, it is.
So
Yeah.
he's in the
So
video.
you can change your team, but you can only do it once a year. Like you have to wait 365 days if you want to be a two-faced bastard again.
Yeah,
I know
it's
you
like
could change it,
$10.
but I didn't know there was a time limit.
Yeah.
I don't know why they would do time specific, because you'd think they'd want more money.
Money, give me money. Probably not a
Who knows?
normal source of revenue for them, but
Right.
yeah.
People probably rarely buy it. I mean, it's like you said, if you're stuck in like the middle of nowhere and all the gyms are just yellow throughout the year, but you pick Mystic because you like blue,
Yeah.
you might want to change to yellow.
Yeah. I mean, you have to go through initiation every single time too. You have to get jumped
Right.
every time.
Right.
Do you get a raid bonus for your team?
You do, yeah. You do more damage and you get more items. If the gym is like your team, you get more items just for spinning it. And if there's a raid and you own the gym, you do more damage and stuff like that.
And yeah, so medals are also acquired after completing certain challenges, such as like walking a certain distance, catching certain Pokemon, other things. So it's kind of like rudimentary achievements, just like simple
There's
achievements. and
also
stuff like that.
a type medal too. Yeah, so if you catch like I don't remember what the increments are. Hang on, let me pull it up.
But like you just play and you'd be like, oh cool.
Yeah.
Like it was very like not needed, not essential, but a cool little aspect. You're just like playing. You're like, oh cool.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
also you were
so-
saying too that that Joss was playing and there was like a medal for like making a certain amount of friends, right?
So no, she was doing so basically some Pokemon you have to do research to get, or like every season to be new research, and it seems like every time there'd be research, she would get to like the last of like 9 of 10 and be like, make 3 brand new friends, and her gripe was like, I don't want to be like Bano and just get random people on the internet. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want them on my phone.
Yeah, can you
So-
tell her to send me a gift back, by the way?
So she was just like, she didn't like the aspect of you couldn't play by yourself.
Yeah.
Like the raids, you couldn't beat it by yourself. It's impossible. And that even like when you're doing research, it was like you had to find people. She just hated that aspect.
Mhm.
Not the part where it was medals, just the fact that like
At least those ones.
the game was like
specifically.
oh, you should talk to people and ask them if they like Pokemon Go and have them as a friend. And it's
Right.
like, no, I don't
stranger
want to.
danger,
right.
literally.
So also with depends on the medal, but like for some of them, like the jogger medal, I've recently just got to 2,900 kilometers walking. You unlock gear for your trainer, so you can like put like like it has like the jogger watch, jogger visor, like free, what do you call it?
So
I was waiting until we got
audience,
to the end, but I was gonna be like, yeah, I've been playing this entire time.
for the American audience, 2,900 kilometers is 1,801.976 miles. So miles.
Yeah,
So I'm level 32.
Yeah.
And wait, how many kilometers?
2,970.
Bruh, I haven't played in like 5 years, and I did 2,536 kilometers. You need to walk more, dog.
Yeah.
How long are you playing this?
Also, for the American audience, that's 1,575.176 miles.
Well, that's the thing is they added the adventure sync, so now it tracks when you're walking like all the time. Now is that was before where it was just when you were playing.
I started day one.
Yeah.
It says on here day one. Pokemon costs 5,040.
One was talking about going on his walks, and he's only walking like 5 steps for 8 years.
Pokestops visited is 3,200.
Yeah. Oh, also with medals, there's the type medals too. So if you catch like certain increments of Pokemon, I think it goes 10, 50, 200, then 2,500. You get catch bonuses for that type. So if you have like dual typing Pokemon, those are ones you want to catch more because it counts for both of them.
Mm-hmm. And luckily, most of them are dual typing.
Yeah, you also have stats on here like total. Like I've caught 10,000 Pokemon. I've visited 4,300 Pokestops, and yeah, I started on the 9th of July. I didn't start the 6th, I guess, but it was that week.
Yeah.
Also, you've only walked 400 more kilometers, Bano, in like 5 years.
Also, I don't know how it was before, but now if you walk certain increments in a week, you'll get free items. That's also like how you get more Pokeballs. So if you walk 5 kilometers, you'll get like 20 Pokeballs. If you walk 25, you get 10 Great Balls, and then if you walk 50, you get all of it before plus Ultra Balls. And before, I used to be like 50 kilometers in a week is like pretty crazy. And then once I started playing again, I actually started hitting that 50 kilometers a week playing, which is I thought was crazy.
31 miles.
Yeah. You also get candy for having a Pokemon with you in like a buddy that you can walk. I don't know if we have that on the list, but you can assign a Pokemon as a buddy, and depending on how rare the Pokemon is, it'll give you a free candy depending on how long you've walked. So if you have like a Caterpie and you walk 2 kilometers, you get Caterpie candy.
It became essential almost for like Dragonite and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like doing like you had to walk, but it was like 10 kilometers for 1 candy, and you're like, I don't ever see Dratini. Like, I need to do this just to get my Dragonite.
That's why I have a Dratini on as my buddy, and I still need to walk 5 kilometers for 1 candy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. It also keeps track of your steps for the week and then calories burned, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, you get free costumes depending on some of the medals. I think there's a medal for Pikachu. There's also a medal for Vivillon. There's one for... We're in 1,000 kilometer across distance. Oh, trades. There's one for trading over like a distance. So if you trade with somebody in Germany, it'll add the total to that medal and stuff like that.
And also, Team Go has Team Rocket as well. Team Go Rocket, which Team Go Rocket, that's what they call it. So their thing is to try and take over Pokestops for their items and resources. And so if you try and interact with a certain Pokestop that Team Go or Team Go Rocket is at, or let's just say Team Rocket, then you battle with them, and they use Shadow Pokemon, which, of course, we first saw in Pokemon Coliseum. So, yeah. And
nudge, nudge.
they abandoned one of those Pokemon once you defeat that member. And so these Pokemon, the Shadow Pokemon, have Frustration as a move. And then when you purify these Pokemon, then they learn Return instead. Because rather than based on hatred, it's based on love. Because peace and love.
They also get reduced evolution candy. So if it was 25 to evolve, it's 22.
Mm-hmm. I think that was also a cool feature. It's when they first I feel like went really hard into like the battling with like they're like touching the screen. And I think that was really cool. And my wife loves that aspect. Mm-hmm. What she hates is like the Team Rocket leaders, because apparently there's like one of them that is just like broken, and she like can't beat them unless like you have like a specific team. And she's like, well, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Cliff, Arlo, and Sierra, they also rotate like which Pokemon they give you.
Yeah, so she would plan out, and then it would be like somebody would throw in, and that would just put a wrench in that.
Yeah.
But, like, I think the Team Rocket, like the grunts, super cool aspect.
Right, and they're all type based. They all have like one specific type.
But I feel like some people think that the leaders are a bit unfair.
I love those fights. Those are like the harder ones that like I have to think about and like structure a team to actually beat.
Yeah, and also up until March 2023, all Shadow Pokemon left by the Rocket leaders, Jesse and James, could all possibly be shiny. But now, the Grunts could also give out those shiny Pokemon as long as that said Pokemon was previously owned by Rocket leader Jesse or James. And so they could be purified with candy or Stardust as well. So
I didn't know that because I did get I thought they just all could be shiny. It took me forever because I did get one from a Grunt that was a shiny Grimer.
yeah, so it was previously owned by a Rocket leader then.
Right now,
I feel like Pokemon Go is like modern Pokemon in the where I feel like getting shinies is too easy.
oh yeah, it is very.
I feel like it is way less special nowadays to have shiny because of how easy it is. Every time they have a little event and you're like, it's a Mudkip event, you walk out with 50 Mudkips and 10 shiny Mudkips.
The amount of shinies that I've gotten from Pokemon Home just doing Wonder Trades, I've gotten so many that are from those community days. I have like 1,000,000 of them. It's like...
Let's be clear, there is difficulty. It just depends on where you are in real life, because I was getting the shit kicked out of me on the 2 community days that in January, where it was literally like storming, and I'm like, where is the Porygon? I broke an umbrella looking for Porygon. Yeah. Because the wind just kept blowing it out of my hands.
And so let's talk about shinies, actually, because that's definitely a thing that we're pretty well versed in at this point. Shinies are a 1/512. That's base rate for shinies. And they could be increased from certain events, like community days. Shinies could be from pretty much any method, and they don't. But the only thing is that they don't show them in the overworld. So this game was exempt from the overworld versus challenge, unfortunately. But
it was classic where you just like click, nope, click, nope, click, nope.
Yeah.
Oh, I clicked all the ones around me. I'll check again in 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically what the community days is.
Yeah, they're monthly 6-hour events that feature a specific Pokemon, and trainers receive bonuses for certain in-game things. So.
Do you know what the rate is for during those bonus events?
I think it's like 1 in 40. I don't think they say it, but it's about like 1 in 40. Yeah.
Still, even 1 in 512 is too high.
Yeah, they have a bunch.
Or too
low. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
the
like
what was OG? What was OG rate?
Oh,
1 in 8,192.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're talking about like initial like shinies. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like crystal.
Yeah,
8,000.
Yeah, 8,192. And then it lowered later on.
Meant something.
Then it lowered to 4,096 later on as the base rate. Yeah. And obviously you could get that fixed around with like
then they added the
charms and Masuda methods and this and that. There's so nuanced.
Catching 50 Pokemon in a row.
Catch combos.
I love it. I love it so much.
I mean, honestly, I didn't like it at first. I was like, because when you told me about like Shiny Hunter, I was like, this kid's obsessed. I don't get it. I don't like this. And then I was like, I appreciate it now. I think the bug bit me at some point there, and so and by the bug I mean the rat. But, yeah, I'm infected. Please help. So yeah, there are events for Pokemon Go, local and global events throughout the year, including spawns of specific Pokemon and some shiny Pokemon, like we mentioned. And then there are also real-world accessories that have been introduced to help catch Pokemon passively, namely the Pokemon Go Plus, the Go Plus Plus that Bano has right over there, which also has...
Yeah, but who would buy that, and what does it even do?
Who would buy it?
Yeah.
And what does it do?
So this one is from Let's Go, and this also works the same as a regular Pokemon Go Plus. So when you're walking around, it'll start catching Pokemon for you passively, or it'll notify you when you have a Pokemon, and before you have to like click on the button, and then you can...
That one won't.
Yeah.
That one won't.
This one won't.
This one will.
That one will. That one will catch them automatically. The other ones, you have to press the button whenever you're near something to like catch it. But now it's like with that one, it'll start catching them as you're walking around.
And with that one, the app has to be open, whereas this one, I don't have to open. I could I can lock my screen, just leave it in my pocket, and this will still do it. Now, it does come with a caveat.
So what you're saying is that one is straight pay to win.
This one is straight pay to win.
But it only does average throws. It doesn't do perfect or great throws.
It doesn't do perfect or great throws, and it only uses a Pokeball. So there's like more.
Does it only throw one ball?
It only throws one ball, and then it moves on. So if you didn't catch it, you didn't catch it.
The amount of shinies that you might have lost.
I've only lost 2, but I did catch 3. using the Go Plus, just walking around.
And also the Go Plus Plus. They originally was going to have
also
it set
terrible name.
Yeah,
terrible.
Literally,
name.
it's on brand. It's Nintendo. So it was mainly intended for Pokemon Sleep, and then Pokemon Go is also a thing for it too. And you're not playing Pokemon Sleep yet, are you?
Not until they make shinies transferable.
Yeah, because they're.
I still don't even know what it does.
What, Sleep or the device? Oh yeah, no, you just put. I think you put it next to your phone or the device next to you, and then it just measures like your snoring and how long you've actually slept for. And then it'll just like spawn Pokemon based on there.
But that thing was designed for Sleep, and they integrated it in Pokemon.
Yeah,
Go.
but Sleep it went from a rumor that it was going to come out, and then it took forever to develop, and I think that's why it's not as like.
So what does
popular.
yours do, Alex? If Bono's is just basically an auto capture.
So this one, it's like if I walk around with it, so when you buy it, because it was originally released with Pokemon Let's Go. And it had a Mew built in here, too. So if you're playing Let's Go, the only way you get Mew is by purchasing this. And so you transfer it over, and then you could take a Pokemon with you, kind of like the Pokewalker in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, where you could go on a stroll with your Pokemon, and then it gets items and stuff. But you could also like click the button over here, and then it'll catch Pokemon if there's something nearby. It'll flash
vibrate.
It'll vibrate, and then you click it, and then it'll catch a Pokemon for you, or try to catch a Pokemon for you.
You can also select which Pokeball you want to throw. You can do regular Pokeball, Great Ball, or Ultra Ball. Mm-hmm. But the thing with that, the difference is that you actually have to push the button and leave the app open. It comes with the same feature. Yeah, I can do that if I wanted to.
Do you have that one as well?
No, Bano was originally going to get the original the original Pokemon Go Plus, but then I showed him the Go Plus Plus, and then it had better features on it, and so he ended up returning that one and getting the Plus Plus.
Right. Yeah, the Go Plus Plus is double the price of the Go Plus.
The Great Ball Plus. And the only random factoid I have over here for Go is that in the United Nations buffer zone in Cyprus, that no Pokemon could spawn due to it being considered in the software as a military area, even though it is demilitarized.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder. So any military area.
Yeah, militarized zones. Yeah, exactly. I think for security.
So Area 51, there's no Mewtwo in Area 51.
It'd probably be like an LGM if anything.
There are like specific events like in different countries too. I think Japan had like a Go event for Ho-Oh and Lugia at like a historical castle or something like that, but that was like the only way you could go and get it until they did like legendary raids for like a season or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then now, like I said, they have seasons, so the newest season's about to start, whereas the previous season had like Hisuian Pokemon for at certain points. Now they haven't said what it's going to be, but it's about to start tomorrow, and so there's stuff like that. And I think the next community day is Litten. So that's another thing. This year has been, I think last year was like Kalos starters. They had one for Chespin, Froakie, and Fennekin.
Yeah.
And so this year, obviously, they had Rowlet. Now it's going to be Litten, and I'm assuming at some point later in the year, we're going to get Poplio.
I'm guessing probably in the summer.
So there's like a new one introduced every year, like a new community day event, and then they'll also do classics like of community days they've done before. That was what the Porygon was. They had a community event for Porygon. That was this year's classic, so sometime in the future, Rowlet will be the classic one. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of every year, or at least the last 3 years I've been playing in December, they take every Go Community Day Pokemon and they put it on separate days. So there'll be one on Saturday and one on Sunday, and they'll split it like that.
Wow.
So on one day there'll be Swinub, Charmander, this, that, and the other, and then on Saturday it'll be Noibat, whatever. Then the starters still. So you really have to like kind of layer your experience. And then that gives you like priority when you're out and about. Like, okay, I have to look at these ones, nothing else.
Yeah.
Also a random little side note, I think the best thing about Pokemon Go, honestly, better than the entire game and catching and everything, is every season or sporadically, the loading screen art is amazing.
Yeah, that's goated.
It's top tier. It is beautiful. It's so nice to look at. I think that's the best thing. Whoever does that artwork should just like release them like as like stills, and
or it's like a coffee table book. That would be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be super
cool. Yeah, it's like the aspect of like a smartphone, like the aspect ratio.
Because you're like, Because you're just like, oh, look how cute that little swine-up is.
Yeah.
Look at that little guy.
Yeah, they gotta do coffee table book of that one or something. That would be a really cool concept. I would probably buy that. But
Right.
yeah.
And then they also have the Go tours, which are actually like physical locations that you can go to that you buy a ticket for. So this one was in Los Angeles, I believe, and it was like the Go Sinnoh tour before it went launched globally. So you had to go to Los Angeles, and then they'd have like marked off areas. There's like 4 different areas that had specific spawns dedicated to that spot, and then it's also like the shiny rates like super increased and stuff like that. So it's like a $35 ticket, and they've had multiple Go tours like over the years. I remember there was one in Manhattan. There's been one in Los Angeles. There's been some like worldwide, and I know I've seen people who are like, do it like a concert. Like if they like U2 and they see them in San Diego, they'll fly to India to go watch them play in India. So there is stuff like that.
But I think as kind of like a last note, I do like I said earlier, I do credit Pokemon Go with like reviving my Pokemon, because after I started playing that's where I eventually played Sun and Moon, and then from there on I've been playing all the ones through so far.
Except Scarlet and Violet, right?
No, he has Scarlet and Violet, but he doesn't have...
I don't have the DLC.
You're better off. We'll talk about it.
But that, and even though I haven't played it in years, I still think it's probably my number 1 mobile game of all time. I just think that the amount of fun that I had with it is just like... It's awesome. It's more fun than you'd get with a lot of like computer games or console games.
Right.
Yeah. The camaraderie and the feeling like we were talking about, where like you actually were invested in getting that gym back to the color. I really enjoyed it, and I don't think there's gonna be a game that's gonna be like that, at least mobile wise. That's gonna have that worldwide investment.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it caught a moment in time, and that's what we're gonna remember of it. Is like that summer specifically, summer 2016 was such a special time for just like being in that right demographic, having like that game just at the palm of your hands, and just the social aspect of it all. It's such a unique circumstance. Like you said, I don't think it'll ever be replicated ever again. Something like that. I feel like that everything else just be a contrived kind of thing. It's like they're gonna try and like bank on that, but at this point, like, it's so special. Like, it's such a special thing. And yeah, I sometimes think like maybe I missed out from like not playing with everybody else, but also I am happy that I kind of like stuck to what I believed in on like not playing it for the principles that were set, because I could have easily just caved in, like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna play it too. Well, why do I need to go to the gym? I'm just gonna play Pokemon Go with everybody. But it's like, and yeah, I held out for about 7.5 years. I played it for about 5 minutes, and I'll probably never play it again. But I mean, it's like, it's such a special game, and there's so many like things that you could do in it. And it's like, and it's also it could be a passive experience. It could be very active, like Bano was saying, with tournaments and stuff, and like traveling for it. It's such an open experience that I feel like that like even the current console games only have like so many things that you could do. And it's like, and you're playing within those guidelines, and I feel like that this is way more open-ended, and it's like way more of a social thing. So, I mean, I have to give credit where credit is due. I mean, yeah, I wasn't there, I wasn't playing it or anything, and I was vehemently against it most of the time, but it's like, there's a lot of good that it's brought. But.
Yeah, I'd say pick it up. If you're a Pokemon fan, play it. It's like pinball. You're only ever going to play it for like 5 or 10 minutes at most, unless you're like really dedicated to it. And even if you are, there's a whole spectrum for like, you can play it for as little as you want or as much as you want, and you'll get the enjoyment out of it however long you do it. But I think it's like you pick up, even if you're gonna pick it up just to play passively, so that because you don't have to be sweaty, and you don't have to pay. It's a game that you can get out what you want to get out of it, right? And you still like, if you find like a shiny, or you find a Pokemon that you like and you can't get it in another game, it has the home compatibility, and you can move it. Also, we didn't touch upon that, but it's also pretty scummy that you can only transfer so many Pokemon for free per week. Or you can pay like 1,000 coins, which is like $10 to transfer immediately.
I love how we're talking so nice, but it's like, oh, fuck this. It's like more monetization.
I just feel like it's a lot easier to get Pokemon and Go,
right,
so that's why they're probably trying to minimize it.
Yeah.
Right.
But, yeah, I think that's pretty much it, though. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything on that one. If we missed anything out, just let us know in the comments, or what you thought about the episode, or your experience with Go, especially that summer, Like, if you have any experience with that, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to read the comments. So, yeah, thanks to anybody listening. Subscribe if you'd like. Follow Bano and I on Twitch. We've been very active on there. And also, thank you so much, Greg, for joining us. I know your schedule's really busy and everything, but I'm so happy that we got to make this work.
Yeah, from the moment you announced that you were going to do this, I wanted to be a part of it because I did have such fun memories.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we got to experience that with you too. I at least like to reminisce and talk on it because, I mean, think about it. It's been almost 10 years since this game came out. That's insane. It's like, and I still think about this so vividly of like that it was yesterday. I guess it goes to show we're getting old.
You think of being mad at Bano 8 years ago so vividly?
Oh, yeah.
That anger is still alive and well.
Yeah, I was literally mad at him today. No, I'm kidding. No, but seriously though, like, thanks, Greg, for joining us. Bano, thanks for not getting food first and meeting with us. I know you're probably hungry right now, so probably want to get that.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, so until then, I'll check y'all later. Have a good one.
Play
See you in the
Pokemon
next
Go.
episode. Play Pokemon Go.
Thank you. Bye.